Time to put your Mario Kart trivia to the test, folks! I'll be asking you multiple choice questions for the first 8 mainline Mario Kart games, and you'll be locking in your answers at the end slate through a gauntlet of short videos. Normally you'll have a handful of seconds to ponder your answer between questions, but I'm gonna slap some training wheels on your sugar scoot and give you a lot of time to mull over this first one. You ready? Which button do you hold to accelerate in Super Mario Kart? A or B? You can skip ahead if you want to select your answer and move on to the next question in this trivia challenge. Or, you can relax for a bit as we take a look at the Mario Kart series and learn a little lore. Now let's not waste another second and dive right into it. The Mario Kart series began with Super Mario Kart on Nintendo's second home console and was developed by a team of 8 over the course of 1 year. Mr. Miyamoto gave the team a goal of creating a game that would deliver the experience of F-Zero with 2 players. As the objective implies, the team took that direction literally and began building a new F-Zero title, but the hardware didn't support tracks with long, straight lines from a split-screen perspective. Giving both players their own view demanded that courses be more compact, with twists and turns that didn't lend themselves well to F-Zero's trademark speed. This technical hurdle led the team to shift gears from an F-Zero sequel to a game about driving karts, and the team took that new direction seriously, getting approval to race karts in the name of research and even building a 50cm model to really understand how they controlled. In particular, they found the ease of drifting was a noteworthy discovery from their practical experience. Initially, they tried to design the racers as a selection of gentlemen in overalls with different helmets, but realized they all seemed too similar. Naturally, they decided to give Mario and the Mushroom Kingdom's eclectic cast a shot after that, and you could say they really hit the target with that one. Items also made it into the builds during the overall days as cans that coat the track in oil patches. As you might have guessed, those would later evolve into banana peels, but oil patches as obstacles remained on some tracks. Launching projectiles came next, and with the Mario theme, it was clear shells were the best option. Fortunately for Nintendo, Super Mario Kart proved to be a smash hit, and the series was able to find its footing on all their platforms to come. When Mario Kart 64 kicked off, the team doubled their efforts and set their sights on a 4-player experience. And at the time of early 3D development, they had to take on a lot of technical challenges in order to have that many screen splits and not compromise fidelity. With improved technology, the team was able to enhance other avenues too. In Super Mario Kart, for example, only 4 bananas could be rendered at a time, so the team strived to increase that limit 25-fold, which served the more exploratory battle stage as well. The enemy AI also saw a notable jump with NPCs now able to perform drifts and give players stiffer competition. Course design was elevated too, thanks to verticality that couldn't be done in its flat-framed predecessor. That led to some technical challenges for the team though, as collision detection is a lot tougher when you add depth to the equation. Green shells in particular needed to do a lot of calculations to function in these more dynamic environments. Having a control stick this time around drew parallels to RC cars for Hideki Kano, the game's director, so naturally he purchased a few to get a feel for them. Unfortunately, those tests alongside the more realistic physics the programmers developed for the first prototype didn't quite hit the mark and felt too niche, so they shifted gears to a more straightforward approach akin to the original game. They didn't want to leave the experience feeling shallow, so they explored new mechanics to give players more to sink their teeth into and introduced the mini-turbo. They weren't illustrated to the player through colored smoke early in their implementation, but the team wanted to make sure players interested in more depth would discover the technique, so it was given visual feedback and a place in the game's manual. Some of their experiments didn't pay off though. This was the stage where the team had also looked into a no-item mode to cater to F-Zero fans and offer a more skill-based experience. But testing revealed no one wanted to play that mode over the others, and it was ultimately scrapped. As it turns out, folks who wanted to race without items were served fine with Time Attack. It all seems pretty basic from where we know the series stands today, but everything about Mario Kart was uncharted territory back in the 90s, and every mechanic and feature we take for granted now had humble beginnings and a process to land on them. Mario Kart Super Circuit was the 3rd title to be released in the series, and was a return to the gameplay of the original. What sets it apart from installments today, though, is that it was developed by Intelligent Systems rather than the usual Nintendo EAD. Mario Kart 7, thanks to the extended development time of Skyward Sword and the timing of Donkey Kong Country Returns wrapping up development, saw the involvement of Retro Studios too. So the series is no stranger to collaboration with different teams, but Super Circuit was the first to see an external team involved and largely take the reins. Every installment to follow saw compounding changes that expanded and polished the formula to a sheen. Mario Kart Double Dash introduced 2 characters per kart, and while that mechanic has been retired for decades, unique vehicles became a staple from that point on. Mario Kart DS was the first mainline entry to feature online multiplayer courtesy of Nintendo Wi-Fi connection. Mario Kart Wii saw the debut of motion controls, bikes, and tricks. Mario Kart 7 brought gliders and submersion into the series, and Mario Kart 8 flipped the script with gravity-defying mechanics that have been the standard for generations. Thanks to every mainline entry launching on a different system, they all boast their own unique look and feel too. Whether it be the differences in drifting between D-pad and control stick titles, or the visual depth and intricacies offered by ever-evolving hardware specs, no two Mario Karts play exactly the same as one another, but they all capture the spirit of the series and express that energy through what each platform can offer. Now that's enough history. It's time to get on to the trivia challenge. Rest assured, as with any good academic exercise, nothing we just covered is going to be on the test. Are you ready? Here we go! If you recall, the first question kicking this game off was, which button do you hold to accelerate in Super Mario Kart? Click either of the two options on the screen, or select one of the two links listed down in the description to see if you move on to the next round. The clock is ticking, folks, and now it's done!